us today as we begin. Can you say a couple words about what you do? What is your role right now?
My name is Sabino Marquez, and I am the CISO for an enterprise software company in Toronto
Hmm.
called Cognota. It's
Mm,
a work management system, ticket system, ops management, ROI, calculator for L&D teams
hmm.
to prove that they're valuable to their companies by showing how their motions support the corporate objectives. Pretty cool stuff.
Interesting. Interesting. And how big is the team?
The whole company is a security team because we run a trust model rather than a security model.
I see. Interesting. Interesting. Well, that kind of paints a little bit of a picture of where you are. But if this is kind of the data point, the dot on the line, paint us the picture of the trajectory. How did you get into cybersecurity? What was the first step? What was the impetus?
The movie War Games with Matthew Broderick is how I got into
Really
cybersecurity. Yeah.
interesting.
I'm I'm a little boy. It's 1983. I go to the movie theater down the street from where I live. So I go to the movies, and there was this movie called War Games, and it was about a teenager who stole video games with his computer
And hacked
and then
the
accidentally hacks the Pentagon, launches the World War III, and takes over the AI. Yeah, just nonsense, nonsense. But little 8-year-old Sabino said, "That is what I want to be when I grow up. I want to be, I want to be Matthew Broderick. I want to be the hacker that hacks the Pentagon and gets the girl." And that's kind of what started my path. I had to figure out how I was going to make a living with technology, and then the .com thing happened, and I've been doing security ever since, almost 30 years. So it hasn't been all security. Security's been a practice that I run, but the job that you do may not be the practice that you run. A security practice develops over time.
Mhm.
You can't start in security. I think the strategy of hey, new graduate, come do security. I think that creates bad security people because good security people know not just how to defend the data in the system, but the job the practitioner is doing.
Mhm.
Because data moves through human hands, and every human motion is a risk opportunity. I don't consider the security practice itself to be an IT practice either, because if somebody makes a mistake that results in value erosion, that's a business problem, not an IT problem. So it should be a business owner and not an IT owner. Every problem that requires a security solution is a business problem, yet IT is stuck solving business problems. And yet the business won't let IT into the business either. So they want to have their cake and eat it too. You know, and
How,
uh,
how
and
can one, how can one wear so essentially, but it takes both hats, right? You need to wear a business hat to understand what kind of business outcomes this organization is looking for, but also you need to wear a
no,
cybersecurity
that
hat.
that's a fallacy. There's no such thing as two hats. There's only one hat. It's called the business person. Look,
Interesting.
look. When you talk about CFOs and their impact, or COOs and their impact, you don't talk about their ability to manage projects or their ability to run an AP department. You talk about the strategy that they execute and deliver on that defends and enables value. Because a C-level person is in charge of a person, like a piece of the value journey, the revenue
Mhm.
journey, the customer journey, the product journey, the whatever journey. And this thinking that you have to have a business hat and then a technical hat robs you of the opportunity to be a technician in the service of revenue. Because it doesn't matter what your job is. You could be the janitor. What matters is that your job is aligned, and the way that you do your job is aligned to a revenue outcome or a value outcome. There's
Mhm.
this huge disconnect in ops, where ops just does ops. We do IT. Why do you do IT? Because the business asks us to do IT. Why does the business ask you to do IT? So that they can run their business. Well, and then like the five whys. And then from the IT mindset, the IT mindset, going back to the 60s, is that it's an internal service organization that serves at the will of the business. And when IT measures its effectiveness, it measures it in terms of service context,
Mhm.
SLAs, uptime, response, etc. But security is not like that. Security is not an internally facing service organization. It's a value go-to-market organization where its impact is value, not ops. But the problem with having security as a child of IT means it's forced to measure itself against these outdated metrics of internally facing service organizations. when what you need to do is make IT and security measure themselves by the same metrics as the rest of the company, which is revenue and value impact. I shouldn't be allowed to have a department that has a strategy that doesn't produce an ROI that matters to the C-suite. Because if I'm doing that, I'm setting myself up to be replaced with AI. You want to talk about what's going to happen in the near future? Ops people who don't have clear line of sight to value are going to be replaced because you're not valuable. You're not making any money for the company. So the only people that are going to survive this upcoming AI apocalypse are going to be go-to-market people. People that say, hey, wait a minute, before you sweep me out into the dustbin of history, keep in mind that when I do my job, deals go faster, but revenue has higher velocity, higher ACVs, better LTV to CAC, lower churn, like all the metrics that my board cares about and drills my sales leaders on every quarter, I'm reporting in. Because nobody cares about security, Misha. Nobody cares about security. Doing this for 30 years. Nobody cares. They care about deals, customers, and value. And if you're not talking the language of deals, customers, and value, it's like the Charlie Brown teacher, womp, womp, womp. They can't hear you. They can't hear you because the only people who get to sit at the table make money. And my people, my clan, my tribe still thinks they're valuable without making money, and that's over. That's over.
It's interesting you say it. What you say makes perfect sense. I think the world is still living in kind of siloed different heads.
It's weird.
How can it, so you clearly you thought a lot about this. How can cybersecurity executive can tie his or her agenda to revenue, to deals, to deal velocity, and kind of top line growth? Like pen testing.
I'm so glad you asked that question.
Well, identity and access, pen testing. How can you take specific things that would be within the charge of cybersecurity executive? How can you tie that specific program to top line growth?
The first thing you have to ask is trust material to my customer, product, revenue, or entity valuation journeys, collectively called the value journey? Some businesses don't require trust for $1 to move from here to there. Other businesses, like a software business, are extensively trust-focused, so much so that it's a core business practice here because the customer can't buy without it, okay? In the old days of selling software, and I'm speaking only about software, other industries may vary, but it's a similar story, okay? When a software buyer goes to market to look for a piece of software, one of the primary buying criteria is security and compliance. And it's not because a trainer cares about security and compliance. It's because there are 10 people behind that trainer. IT guy, procurement guy, compliance guy, security guy, lawyer guy, privacy guy, all the people that do diligence for companies, okay? In classic revenue playbooks, these people that form about 30% of your funnel are a black box. You ask the revenue leader, hey, where's deal? Where are we on the deal with ABC company? And they'll say, it's in due diligence, unable to tell you what's happening with the same level of visibility they have in the rest of the funnel, right? So this is about funnel visibility. So here's this black box in the funnel called due diligence, where people who are in there are treated as blockers. Look at the blockers in the deal, Misha. IT guys blocking, compliance guys blocking. Quick, scramble, find the evidence we need to satisfy this question. Quick, fill out this questionnaire. Fill out this online. You see, like, it's so reactive. You don't have a story to tell. You have a story to tell for your product. You have a story to tell for the company's journey. You have a story to tell for the customer value. You have a story for everything, but you don't have a trust story. And these people who are stopping your deal aren't outside your deal. They're inside your deal. They're customers. They're looking to buy a reason to trust you. And the way that you get people, nine different personas actually, with different incentives, different requirements, different red flags, different goals, different missions, different biases to trust you, is to treat them as customers that you're going to build and sell a product to. And the product you're going to sell to them is called a trust story. And a trust story is assembled from all of the evidence you're already producing in your security and IT departments. Every day, when your company moves, logs are produced. Events are fired, tickets are open, action is taken. Today, all that op shit that happens goes into dev null, into a black hole. It's just op stuff. No one cares about this. And then you allow this critical oil, the raw material of trust, evidence, daily evidence of safety, people complying, people doing the right thing, people doing the right process, people making good decisions. Every single time anybody in your company does the right thing, you collect evidence of that. And slowly but surely, you sort the evidence into the different buckets. There's a model that says you don't do security because it's an IT reason. There's 8 business reasons to do it. And then you map the 8 business reasons to do it to each of the programs that you run. Each of those programs generates evidence. Put that evidence into buckets, classify bucket by persona, go to market. And you go to market before the product, not after, because you need to go to market to clear the minefield of the objection blockers that these valid objection blocker handlers are going to bring to you. Because
that means as a cybersecurity executive, you need to be in the room with the salespeople and the marketing people. You need to be in the room.
I'm inseparable from the revenue team. I am go to market. I have not worked for IT in 10 years or longer.
This is amazing.
Now, further, hold on a second. Now, how do you organize a trust team separate from a normal company? In a trust team, you recognize that trust has 3 facets. My company is a software company, so my value is in my data. My data is cash. Damage to data is damage to value, right? So my job is to tell the trust story for the data. I'm a fiduciary that represents the interests of the data and its value against anything that wishes to diminish or erode its value. I represent the interests of data. The CFO, who is my peer, represents the interest of the cash position. The entity valuation story belongs to my CFO. I'm also paired with my general counsel, who defends the value of the contracts we're going to sell to the investor when we fucking exit this company, right? The 3 of us together form a 3-legged stool called value defense, upon which you can defend the value of a company once you've earned that dollar. Mm-hmm. I'm a subscription business, which means I don't make one sale. I have to make several sales to keep your dollar. First, I have to sell trust to you to make me trustworthy, make me to the level that you can even buy me. And then I have to continue to sell trust throughout the year to prevent you from auditing me, because audits are expensive. Audits introduce friction into deals. My goal in life is to make sure no customer ever audits me, because I'm overwhelming them continuously with evidence communication, trust communication, safety communication. Remember I said earlier that security isn't real? What I mean by this is when you start to shift trust to market, you acknowledge a few realities. Security isn't real. Safety isn't real. These are emotions. Trust isn't real. You feel it in your heart. Now, how do you get people to feel emotions? Well, for the emotions of safety, trust, and security, you show them evidence that matches their preconceived expectation of what they need to see so that they can allow that emotion to flourish in their heart. And contrary to what you think, people make decisions on emotions, not data.
100%.
You use the data to inspire, and then that's how you can orchestrate trust at scale. And now we're marketing. We're no longer doing security. Now we're going to market. Now we're clearing minefields. Now we're selling the ops motion rather than being this disconnected from the rest of the business department. Why doesn't security align to revenue? It's all about value. What are we doing? Why are we letting it live under IT? It's outside the box thinking like this that gets security people out of the hamster wheel of being unable to cross the bridge to the business. The way you cross the bridge to the business is not to think in 2 hats. It's to be a business person and think about how you're communicating value to the business.
This is amazing. I think it's in 10 minutes, you opened 12 different doors, and I can feel we can double click on every one and tumble into kind of separate conversations that will take an hour.
I give this away because I think that this is how finally I figured out how to be taken seriously by the business. And all I had to do was make money, Misha. All I had to do was show ROI. At my last company that we exited, I delivered a 1,200% ROI. How did I do that? This is an interesting story. Do you remember 10 years ago or so when the rotten husk of Yahoo was put up for sale, and then the rotten vulture that is Verizon came down to eat the rotten husk of Yahoo? Yahoo says, we're for sale for $5 billion. And Verizon said, you know what? Good enough. Well, we'll take it. While they were negotiating the big hack, remember the big hack, 1 billion records, and Verizon knocked $1 billion, 20%, $1 billion off the deal, thus establishing that security, diligence, trust, compliance, safety, all that stuff is up to 20% of an M&A valuation. Oh, that's interesting. And then I learned that when companies exit, startups like mine, rather than there being a deal saying, hey, Misha, I love your company. Can I buy it? Sure, Sabino, it'll be X dollars. Here's a bucket of money. No, that's not how it works. It's, hey, Misha, I want to buy your company for $1. Does that sound good? Yeah, $1 sounds great. Okay, we agreed on the price, $1. But you know what? You're a young company. There's a lot of stuff you haven't done. It's going to be really expensive for me to do now. Now, we're going to run some audits on you. We're going to find all these things that are wrong with you, and we're going to apply the cost it would take me to do this myself times the multiple of the valuation to get a discount for the price I'm going to pay you. So that means that if I'm going to offer you, $1, secretly I'm expecting to pay 78 cents because I'm going to find 22% worth of discounts in the value based off of your shitty ops because you didn't invest in trust. So having thought about discount defense before starting the practice, I said, what would happen if we built a security practice where the goal every day was twofold? One, stop crime, value erosion, and two, defend against exit discounting. Today, when are we going to exit? I don't know. Will we make it? I don't know. Is the company going to sell? Who the fuck knows? But if we do, the money we spend on security today will defend the discounts that they'll seek at the end. So my last company, 7 years building the program, and we exit. In come the buyers, private equity, who are, as you know, very good at finding things wrong with companies. They send $1,000 an hour consultant to say, hey, let's talk about your open source governance. Let's talk about how badly you govern your libraries and your licenses. Oh, look at all that liability. That's going to be really expensive. And they do this. I watched it happen, but I was ready. So I prepared my team. I prepared the CFO and the lawyer for a discount audit, which is a very specific type of audit, in which everything they find wrong is going to cost millions of dollars. So an offer was made at a number X. They were expecting to pay X minus 20%. They came and spent 1 month auditing a company that had prepared for a discount audit from the very beginning. At the end, they discounted 0% from the diligence areas of the company, where they were expecting to discount 20. And they paid a lot more than they wanted to pay. And then we did the math. Over 7 years, you invested $3.5 million in security, in ops, right? And on exit, we returned 1,200% of that investment in discount defense.
It's amazing.
And when you position that as security, you're not a security person. You're not. And the mistakes that my tribe makes is to present themselves as technical SMEs rather than revenue-seeking business people who use this technical thing that they do to move revenue forward. And the only conversation is revenue. And they never talk about audits. Never talk to your business about security. They don't care. They care about deals, customers, and value. Stop talking about audit outcomes. Stop talking about patch management. Stop. It doesn't work. You've been doing it for 25 years. Stop it. You know what does work? Making money. That works. All right. So if you happen to be in a business where trust is material to customers, product, revenue, or valuation, then you can use trust as a go-to-market practice to elevate security into the C-suite. And then you're a revenue leader. You're an accountable leader because you can predict future value, which is the definition of a C-suite leader. They own and predict future value and organize the strategy accordingly.
I'm joining the cult. Where do I sign?
Okay, so I'm on a mission to change the world. I'm on a mission to change the world because all of my friends are in pain because the jobs that exist today treat them like IT people from the 60s rather than
which is what my next question is about. I'm a CISO at a company where I report to CIO. I don't even report to the
no, never do that. Why would you do that? He's your main target of control. That's the literal fox guarding the hen house. You can't report to the person who you must
Fair
control.
enough. Fair enough.
Oh my God.
How can I have this conversation? How do I even approach having a conversation with C-level leadership, with the president, CEO, and the board, explaining that I'm not just a technical guy. I'm not a department of IT. I'm a business leader that drives business outcomes, and I'm talking about revenue, dollar amounts, and new deals.
A week from today, I'm giving a talk at the local business school, University Business School, about how to identify whether trust is material to your revenue model. Because business people need to have an easy way to know whether they should care or not. So I have a one-page scorecard. Just do the scorecard. And the scorecard tells you whether you need an IT department, whether you need an IT security department, or whether you need a trust product program. And if you need a trust product program, that means that you got to build and go to market with a trust product in order to make revenue go faster, increase deal size, or whatever. So if you're in that kind of business where trust is material to value, then I'll show you exactly how to have this conversation right now. You give them these questions, they score themselves. You add these 8 personas to your revenue playbook. And because now the personas are in your revenue playbook, you have to deliver something to them because you're selling to them now. And what you're selling them is the output of your ops motions. All the standard security stuff you're doing is now critical to sales. So that means your department is critical to sales, because if you don't do your thing right, the customer will have a doubt, or they'll take a step back. Or they'll say, wait a minute, I have to schedule another meeting with this auditor now. Or we have to go to this committee to get sign off. Or this, you see, because you didn't plan the account penetration correctly. Because security is an ABM practice, Misha. You sit with your CMO and your CRO, the CISO, the CRO, and the CMO, and your product leader. And as you're designing the strategies for attacking the market you're going to sell into, you identify the trust stakeholder personas for each of the market categories, account categories, etc.
Interesting.
You know?
So with it, this is super smart, because effectively what it does, it changes what used to be a cost center, a nuisance that we have to spend a ton of money on. It becomes part of trust that becomes an integral part of the product for which we charge money. So it becomes part of the go-to-market motion than an inward-facing pile of reports. We turn that in.
And there's 100 ways you can go to market with trust. Trust is a top-line practice. How about we talk about that? How about we talk about the fact that markets and accounts are locked by trust gates? Fintech, health tech, insurance, government, public companies, you name it. They all have trust criteria. You want to get cybersecurity insurance at a reasonable rate, you have to tell the insurer trust stories. Like, you have to be selling trust anyway. This is not IT. This is not IT. So the way you have the discussion is, A, you identify whether your company is material. So I'll give you a scorecard and you answer questions. And then if it is material, I'll give you the playbook and you identify, do these personas exist in my accounts and markets that I sell into? And if they do, now it's a matter of matching what the persona is expecting to see, so you inspire the emotion of trust in their hearts. And your operations and the evidence your operations produce every day. And then you marry them together, and operational evidence becomes a trust story that goes to market.
Amazing.
That's the book. I'm writing the book. When I met with the publisher told me, Sabino, the book you want to write for CISOs will die on the vine because the revolution can't happen from the bottom up. There's a room, and in this room are a bunch of rich guys. And these rich guys, they draw on a whiteboard. And if they draw a box on a whiteboard, you exist. And if they don't, you don't exist. So you need to write a book for the people who draw the boxes on the whiteboard to tell them that if they draw a box called trust, and they have a leader, responsible and accountable for the revenue attached to all the trust motions, and then you build a strategic program to address trust deficit and go to market with a trust product, I guarantee you, one, you'll short-term succeed by increasing revenue velocity and increasing your TAM increases, your SOM broadens because now you can service more of your actual TAM. And further, you begin to speak in the language of the business. Forget security. Stop talking about it. Guys, girls, stop. They don't listen. Do you know why they don't listen? Because the kind of people that investors and in general, the kind of people that get put in charge of businesses don't respond to risk arguments. Because by their nature, they're risk takers. They place bets. They're high-end gamblers, almost all leaders are. And sure, they can use data-driven decision-making, and they can, but really what they're doing is they're feeling a hunch and placing a bet. And my investors put those kind of people into power because they're trying to grow the business, and you can't do it with prudence and conservatism. So when you come to them and you say, here's my risk dashboard, here's my risk metrics, you know why they yawn? Because you're not talking about deals, customers, or value. Because risk, unless you package it as trust, doesn't go to market. Therefore, they don't care. Therefore, you don't matter. And that's why you're stuck on the wheel. To sit at the table, Misha, you have to make $1.
It's you want to be you don't be viewed as a vitamin and kind of a nice to have optional.
You are a critical core business go-to-market practice, without
100%.
which your competitors will eat you alive. Because trust allows you to dig a moat around your company. Okay? Trust is the ultimate moat. It's so lizard brain emotional once you gain trust and they cross over your moat. Now, when they look over the moat at other products, now they want to leave you. You know what? Maybe the people who bought your trust, IT guy, security guy, procurement guy, etc., maybe they're going to say, Misha, I know that you don't like Cognota software anymore. I know it doesn't meet your objectives, but dude, have you looked at the market? Nobody else is even as close as trustworthy as these guys. So I'm sorry the software is no longer 100% great, but it's the most trustworthy. And we, the diligence team behind you, are the champion of the software company, preventing customer churn. The upside is tremendous as long as security leaders understand that they're not security leaders. Just in the same way that a CFO isn't an accounting leader, they're a revenue leader. A COO isn't a project management leader, they're a revenue leader. And so are you. There's a C in my title. I'm a revenue leader. Otherwise, I'm an IT director. I'm VP security. I'm a functional leader that's not accountable for value. I just execute in my silo.
Cost center, not a profit center.
I'm a cost center. I'm imminently replaceable by AI. My job is done. You know what I mean?
Totally. One, congrats. It's an amazing story, and it's a story that needs to be told. So when the book is published, I would love to put it on the.
You can read it now. I'm publishing chapter excerpts. Go to cybersecuritytribe.com.
I like dealing with computers more than I like dealing with people. Therefore,
gone. That's over. That's over.
It's not an option. To your point, AI will reshape.
There is only business. There is only business. There is no IT. If you think your job is technical, you're done. You're done. Your job is to prove you can make money. But Sabino, ops. Yes. And by safe motion, we tell trust stories, which increase revenue velocity and customer affinity. What do you think we're doing here? We're not running a closet.
Business.
Right? So the last thing I'll leave you with is that I use a paradigm called run-do. This is critical for getting the business to come on board. Run-do, okay? The run-do paradigm goes like this. You can either do business or you can run a business. When you do business, you're doing the motion of the business. You are doing IT. You're doing marketing, right? But when you're running something as a business, that means that you're building a product, going to market, and showing a return. The difference between doing and running. Everybody today does security. They do compliance. It's a thing that is done. And once you've done it, congratulations, you did it. And it doesn't tie back to anything. And the metric that you use to measure its success doesn't matter to the business. You can see where I'm taking this, right?
100%. You tie everything to business outcomes, to dollars and cents, to revenue, new deals, velocity, churn, metrics that from the CEO to the board to the CFO, that's CMO, sales, that's all they talk about. That's what drives.
All they care about.
That's what drives the boat.
It's all I talk about. I haven't talked, again, I'll repeat this. I haven't talked about security to my board in 8 years. I don't talk about risk. I talk about new markets we can access now that we're more compliant and the value of that top line. They'd love to hear about that.
They don't care.
They don't care. I'll talk about how our trust stories have reduced time and diligence to half a day, down from 14 days, which means every salesperson now has an extra 14 sales days per quarter to pursue stretch goals. And I take credit for the value of those sales hours. You see, one of the things I learned is that good business people take tons of credit for shit that they, didn't do. But one of the things that happens to security is that security does things and other people take credit for it all the time. But now you can take credit for your own work. You take credit for the value of the extra sales time. You take credit for the disappearance of audits. Every customer I sell to can trigger 3 audits: the onboarding audit, the middle of the year audit, and the renewal expansion audit. Each audit costs them and us an average of $4,000 to $6,000 to run in terms of man hours and opportunity costs. Every audit I don't do has a value, Misha, and I publicly trumpet the value of the bullets we dodge, because the business needs to know the value of things that don't happen as well as the value of things that do.
100%.
Take credit. Take credit and put it into a dollar or number and tell the business that's yours, and now you're accountable. Okay? There's this
not only you're accountable, you're rewarded as well.
And you're driving it. You're not a passive passenger on a bus. You're part of the team that creates, enables, and defends value, which is where a CISO needs to be. If a CISO is not there.
This was, oh my God, this is amazing. This is this is a lot to think about. As you're starting a revolution, it sounds like.
Yeah. That's what they told me. They said, don't teach this to CISOs because it will fail. A CISO that tries bottoms up to create a go-to-market practice will run into the fact that there's no box for them, that there's no box for you. Management that doesn't conceive of your existence. So first you have to make a box. You have to have the conversations with the other value leaders. Right?
Well, it's tying trust to the product, tying trust to the go-to-market motion, and then tying your security ops, the logs and everything else to trust, and making it part of the story, part of the go-to-market motion. And then you get a seat at the table. You're going to be in the room. Where can people find you? Let me rephrase. Where can people join your army?
Cybersecuritytribe.com is where I'm currently publishing all of my chapter excerpts. So there's a community there. If you are a data protection practitioner, a data defense practitioner, and you want to transform your practice, I'm giving away all my stuff inside this community so that people like us can have a safe space to talk. 6 out of 10 leaders like me reject it outright because it's not a fit to their style. But the 4 out of 10 that thinks this is a good idea, come and learn it.
Yeah, I think this is transformational and stuff. And again, congrats. This is you opened my eyes on a lot of things that did make sense. It's kind of like a friend of mine told me the definition of happiness. It's when you hit yourself on the forehead with a hammer every day, and one day you realize you don't have to. That's the definition of happiness.
You don't have to. You don't have to live misunderstood. You don't have to live with other departments' stigma sitting on you. Like IT is a weight around our shoulders. The feeling people have about IT rushes on us, and we need to create separation. We need to create distinct separation because the perception of us as technicians harms us.
100%.
It makes it difficult for us to tell value stories.